Welcome to Giants Latest and happy opening day for all my Yankees fans and to all who celebrate. Let's get into talking about Russell Wilson, the new quarterback for the New York Giants, because he had his first press conference yesterday and he spoke to the media and answered a whole lot of questions. So let's just talk about some of the highlights because it was over 25 minutes long. So here's where the things that I thought were the most interesting or important to talk about. He was asked about why he chose New York when he was considering Cleveland and after everything that happened in Pittsburgh and things like that. And, he said obviously he has good memories in MetLife Stadium. That's where he won a Super Bowl. But he also talked very highly of Brian Daboll and the players on the team. He said that he loves that now Dexter Lawrence is on his team as opposed to having to go against him. He talked about Brian Burns. He said Malik Neighbors is a playmaker. He cannot wait to start throwing the ball with him. Spoke a lot about Malik Neighbors, which I think was great. He also mentioned some of the other wide receivers. He talked about Theo Johnson. He said he is a big time film rat. That is the direct quote, film rat, are the words that he used. And he said that, he started to watch a little bit of film, and that's when he mentioned, a very specific play that he saw Malik Neighbors and he saw Theo Johnson throwing a great block. So he said he's very excited to get involved with the guys, get in the meetings and start to get to work. So I appreciate that he is ready to work. He's already saying let's rock and roll. I don't know what his slogan is going to be with the Giants, but he seems very excited to be here. He said that, playing in New York and everything that comes along with it wasn't really part of it. It was just the fact that when he was here for the meeting and they had good meetings last year, he just has really good memories from being at MetLife Stadium, being in New York. And like I said, he talks about the talent on the team. So I like to hear that, when everyone is talking about how the Giants are so awful and everything about them is bad. It's nice to hear that players want to come here and that they want to come here because of the talent around them. He also mentioned Javon Holland and Adebo and getting some of these other players in the building and how he's excited. So love to hear all of that. Something else that he mentioned, which I thought was fascinating, Jalen Hyatt. Yes, out of everyone that he could have mentioned, he specifically said that he reached out to Jalen Hyatt and he said that, I forget what the wording was, but he says something about he really needs to be getting him involved and he's excited to work with him and excited to get him the ball. So is this going to be the Jalen Hyatt resurgence or the year of Jalen Hyatt that we all have been dying to see for the last couple of years since he's been on this team? Maybe. Listen, if Russ Wilson can get Jalen Hyatt a lot of targets and he can become a playmaker, sign me up. I'm on board. Giants country, let's ride every day, forever. Because Jalen Hyatt has been a guy that I have been so excited about and just been wildly disappointed by. So like I said, he mentioned a lot of other players and he said that he's talked to the offensive lineman. He talked to GVR and loves seeing Andrew Thomas in the weight room and things like that. He really name dropped a lot of different players. So I get the feeling that he's really excited to be here, which I love. And again, the Jalen Hyatt thing, I just was wow, love to hear this. I do think that, I don't know, maybe we're going to see more of Jalen Hyatt, especially knowing that if Jameis Winston comes in, he's definitely going to throw the ball down the field. Now the question is Jalen Hyatt actually going to make the play? To be determined. But a couple of other things that he said that I thought were interesting. He talked a lot about, meeting Mr. Mara and how good he felt being in the building. And he has a lot of good memories here, but he also loves that Eli Manning is here. So he mentioned that and he's excited about that as well. So I think overall, he just seems like he's very excited to be here. He was asked about mentoring a quarterback and he said, he feels like as a quarterback, it's his job to lead. He's a veteran with 14 years of experience. So he did what a lot of players do and didn't straight up answer the question, but said that he feels like it's his job to be essentially a mentor and a leader for everyone in the locker room. So it is what it is. I don't hate it. Let's see how things go. He also said, and I know this is being pulled a lot, but people didn't pull the full quote because of course they didn't. He was asked about, what the Giants said to him about him being the starter. And he said that he expects to be the starter, but he expects to have to work every day to maintain that role. That was the full quote. So it wasn't just, I expect to be the starter because I'm getting paid more than Jameis Winston, which I think that is the plan anyway. But that was the full quote for everyone who's like, oh, I can't believe he comes in here and thinks he's going to be the starter. I mean, there's probably an 80% chance he's going to be the starter, so I don't think it's that weird. I also think that in the conversations he had with the Giants, I am sure that they led him to believe, if they didn't directly say, we plan to have you be the starter. Is there going to be a quarterback competition? I don't know. We've seen competitions at other positions. We have never seen it at the quarterback position since Daniel Jones has been on the team, especially with this front office, so TBD on that. But speaking of the quarterbacks as a whole, let's talk about the grade that this quarterback room deserves. Now, I think from a personality standpoint, A++. The memes and the stuff that I am seeing about this quarterback room alone, honestly, are so silly and hilarious, but they're making me excited. And I'm not excited because I think that they're going to be a good football team and they're going to win a lot of games. I'm excited because the press conferences are going to be hysterical. The Russ Wilson with the Mr. Unlimited and Jameis Winston just with all sorts of different stuff. Like everything that he says is hilarious and different and bizarre. And he prayed to God to have him stop throwing pick sixes. Like the things that come out of this man's mouth are honestly just comedy, pure comedy. So I'm excited for that. And then you've got Tommy DeVito with the Italian music in the background and the cutlets and the this. A+ standpoint from a personality perspective. From a talent perspective and a potential winning perspective, I give it a C+. Listen, compared to last year, which was probably like a C- or a D, I don't know, some people might argue it was an F. To each their own. I give it a C+ because I think it's definitely better than last year. I think we're in a better position, and I think there still leaves room for a rookie quarterback to potentially replace Tommy DeVito. And if we go into the season with Russ Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Shedeur Sanders, you got to feel way better than you do probably about having Tommy DeVito as your third string. At least especially knowing that Shedeur is way more NFL ready than some of the other guys. Like if they bring in Jalen Milroe, I'm not feeling wildly confident that if God forbid we go to the third string quarterback, that Jalen Milroe is going to come in and have a good game. Love him. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to be great, but maybe just not right now, you know? So he's definitely one of those guys that's going to need some more time. So you guys let me know. What do you grade the Giants quarterback room? I think that the grades are going to be all over the place, but I think that as a whole, we can agree, I think that this quarterback room is definitely better than where it was at this point last year. We've got a quarterback who's won a Super Bowl. He knows how to win. He's been in the NFL for 14 years. He knows how to throw the ball down the field. He knows how to read defenses. Like, I think from that perspective, and the same thing with Jameis Winston, outside of the Super Bowl winning thing, they both have a lot of experience, and they have experience where they can read defenses and throw the ball, which obviously we all know was a huge issue with Daniel Jones. So it's better than last year, okay? That's where I'm at with this team right now. So the Giants also made one other signing. They've re-signed linebacker Deontay Johnson, so let's talk about him briefly. For those of you who are unfamiliar, he actually was on the team last year, but he suffered an ankle injury, I believe, during preseason, and ended up being out for most of the season. I think he came back week like 16 or 17. So he missed a lot of the season, unfortunately, due to this ankle injury. But he was a guy that did really well at camp. And if you were at camp, I remember I was with Justin and Bobby from Talking Giants for a bit. And I remember like a lot of the people that I talked to, even Big Blue VCR, we were all saying like, this guy is really standing out of the linebacker core. And there were a lot of high hopes for him coming out of camp. So it was definitely disappointing that he got injured. So I'm happy that he's back, happy that there's going to be some sort of competition at the linebacker position. He's 6'2", 230 pounds. So he played the last two games of the season. Last year, he made his debut in Giants Week 17 win over the Colts. So maybe that's also part of the reason why they won, right? I'm just kidding. But anyway, he was an undrafted free agent last year. The Giants signed him. Prior to that, he played in 57 games over 5 seasons in Toledo. He recorded 273 tackles, 22 and a half tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, 9 passes defense, 1 interception, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. So anyway, I don't think he's going to come in and be a star, but I like the fact that we're bringing some depth to the linebacker position, which is something that we struggled with. Curious to see if the Giants will go after another linebacker in the draft. That could be a position to watch. But like I said, he's a guy that definitely has potential, and I'm glad that he's back, and let's see what he can do this summer and hopefully stay healthy. So lastly here, let's talk about this, because when I was listening to Russ's press conference, which I listened just before I sat down to record this, and I gotta be honest, like it did make me a little excited. It made me feel like, okay, there are guys in the building who want to be here. They see some of the talent that is on this team, and they see the potential. And, you know, the way that he spoke about Dable, and I give Dable a lot of crap. I do. And I am honest about that. And in my opinion, he deserves it. Yes, he won Coach of the Year. I do think that he is a good coach. I don't think he's great. I think that adding the play calling to his plate was not a good idea. He's not capable, in my opinion, of doing everything that it takes to be a winning head coach. I just think it's too much. He's not great at clock management. He makes stupid decisions. And, he's just like adding the play calling on top of it is just too much. So, anyway, but to hear a player who's been in the league for as long as he has, who's dealt with coaches like Mike Tomlin and Pete Carroll, who are some of the best in the NFL, to come here and say, I really respect Brian Daboll and I like what he's done and I have confidence that he's going to put us, in the best positions to succeed and to win games, and he was a reason why I wanted to come here. Me as a fan who's obviously not in the locker room, who doesn't know Brian Daboll personally, who's never had that type of experience with him, a part of me feels like, okay, maybe I can be excited about this. Maybe I should be optimistic that this team is not going to be the worst team in the NFL again. Now, I'm not going to do anything crazy and say I think they're going to win 9 or 10 games. I think that's crazy based on the schedule, based on what this team looks like. What I think is a possibility, though, is that if things go well and most of the players stay healthy, I think they are capable of winning 7 or 8 games. As we all know, the health of this team is the most important thing above all else. And if Andrew Thomas goes down, goodbye. We're probably going to win 4 games. But until then, I can be optimistic that maybe Russ Wilson is going to come in and he's going to be rejuvenated, and he's got really good wide receivers and he's got a decent offensive line, and maybe this season just won't be as awful as I'm expecting it to be. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments and make sure you subscribe because there's more Giants latest coming your way.